And good morning, Space Engineers. This is Mr. Kassarian, and welcome back to my tutorial series on my drill. Alright, why don't we start taking a look at this? Now, I showed you guys in the last episode how this thing works in basics. Let's reverse those. You can see that this thing is now running quite nicely. And nice and smooth. I extended it a little bit and put these stoppers on the end. Don't forget to put those on. They're kind of important, otherwise this entire thing will just go sliding out the front and you'll have to put it back into place. And trust me, once you have the actual drills on, once the actual drill is on, it is a pain in the rear end to put this thing back in there. Just because the mass is so much higher, it becomes a little bit difficult. Let me shut these guys down. Now, you notice they're not really braking that well. I'm not certain why, to be honest with you. Maybe if I adjust their braking force a little bit. Oh, there we go. That worked. All right. So we're just going to extend this just a wee bit more. All right. Just a wee bit. Just a few more blocks coming out the front and the sides here, because we're working on sort of the business end of the drill today. All right, and yes, it does start to vibrate around once you when you start adding parts to it. Yeah, then you just kind of have to live with it. It doesn't damage it at all, but it's just the shift in mass causes the entire thing to get a little bit, let's say, irritated with you. It's the best way of saying it. All right, so we're putting this on. That's fine. And that's all put together like that. Perfect. All right. So now we have to start actually expanding the drill head. Okay. There we go. I don't know why it's still showing 5 as being highlighted, but we'll live with that. All right, so let's start expanding the drill head itself. And to do that, I'm going to also want some light armor blocks. All right. There we go, and let's get started. So what we're going to do is that this drill head that we're building right now, I'm actually not going to be building it as large as my other design. Yeah, we're just going to go out a little bit here, because this is just a general demonstration. It's not going to be, you know, the gigantic, massive thing that I did in my other series. And if I could ever get that rotation to stop, I'll tell you guys how I did it. Okay, so let's drop down to here. Now, the other way you could stop that rotation is you could merge block this thing together. Which does work. That would work quite handily, but it's not something I really want to do for a whole variety of reasons, let's say. Okay, so that's put together now. All right, so each of these now come out by 3. All right. That's not a requirement. Let's have those come out just a wee bit more, actually. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to start putting the drills on. All right. Now the drills, if I can find them in this display here, you notice that the mods have been removed because they were causing crashes because they haven't been updated yet, which is actually one of the reasons why I'm doing this series instead of doing something else right now. Doing my little tutorial instead of doing the main game, because as of right now I can't load it up. I can't load that world up at all. There we go, drill. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we need to flip these. No, I didn't want you to do that, but all right, fine. Now, the nice thing about these drills is that you can place them precisely next to each other. All right. We're just going to drop these in, and we're kind of going for this sort of angled-ish appearance with these. And we'll put a third on there. We'll sink down just a wee bit. And we'll start expanding these guys out to the sides. And there we go. And of course I can now just use my expandy I'm in creative mode abilities. I think I missed a spot back here. And there we go. The actual drill head itself is now completed. Okay, so now what are we going to do? Well, we need to do some cargo management. By some, I mean a lot. This thing generates a lot of resources in a hurry. So we're going to throw down a large cargo container right here. Basically the exact center of this thing. All right. Now we're going to start running some piping. All right, conveyor tube. And we're going to have that piping come out right there. Okay. So if I slip down into here a little bit, just a little bit, there we go. And now we can trade that out for some curved conveyor tubes. And yes, this thing moving makes this a little more difficult than I'd like. Now, the important thing about this next step is that this has to come up too, all right? Because it has to clear the assembly. Like that. And we can now drop in our connector. Just like that. Beautiful, right? Well, kind of. Kind of, sort of, not especially beautiful, but it works, all right? And that's the important bit with this entire thing. Now, you may notice that the drills don't have any power. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and we're going to drop in a reactor. Like that. All right, and that gives us some power to this entire contraption. Now, what are we going to do with the rest of this? Well, that's a good question. This is set up differently on my LP world, but we'll do it on this side over here. Nope. We'll do it with this, like that. Okay. And we're just going to drop down another one of these right here. Seems like as good a spot as any. We actually want to go, whoa, there we go. I'm going to go one higher than that. And of course, you could pretty this up as much as you like once you're actually working on it, but this is just sort of the basics of the whole process. Now, for this, I'm going to actually put down a conveyor. Yeah. Put a conveyor down. Ah, right, okay. So we want this to rotate still. Ooh, that's a problem. Alright, so what we'll have this do then is we'll have this come forward a little bit more than I thought it would. And then we'll have it yeah. We'll have it come down we'll have it come around, and then we'll stick a connector on it right there. Okay, and now we need to actually send this thing forward a little bit. So if I fly back down here, hop into my command share, and it'll push it forward. Because now what I can do is I could take out this thing, slap that on, right? And then hit K, motors, on. Oops. Motors, reverse them, please. And as soon as we see that connect, which should be in a couple seconds here, they should lock in automatically once they get close enough. And hit P to lock them in. Alright? And they are now locked in. So now, anything that this pulls in will get pulled out automatically. Now, alright, we're going to cheat a little bit here. We're going to cheat quite a bit, actually. So, I'm going to separate that and separate that, alright? And then we're going to get out a collector. And then we're going to get our connector. And this is not something of my own design, by the way. I have no claim to this whatsoever, alright? This is something I think I saw LSG, Last Stand Gamers, maybe, do, or one of them. I don't honestly remember who it was who I saw doing this. But, alright, let's try with this. Beautiful. Alright. So what we're doing... Nope. And is that actually the see-through side? Nope. Alright, so we're going to need the inverted ones for this then. There we go. There we go. And you guys will see why I'm doing this in just a couple seconds. There we go. And there we go. So now, what I can also do is put this down. Like so. And this is basically acting as a one-way gate for items. And let me show you why. Okay. Basically, it's acting like, for those of you who know electronics, it's acting like a diode. So if I go to connector 2 here, I'm going to say throw out on, collect all on. All right. This is going to be my docking connector. So the drill dock connector. Okay. Like so. And the reason I'm doing this is I don't have any items. Ooh. Let's get some items. We actually don't need these anymore. Are they actually? No, I'm not actually getting them. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Alright, well, Hold on for a minute, guys. Just to get some items to work with. So what should happen now? Why can't I... There. Gotcha. Though I could have just used the massive drills on this thing to do it, but that's neither here nor there. So what should happen now is that if an item is in here while this thing's docked, right? It should get automatically pulled out and shot down through here. Okay. So if I open up this thing now, it wound up in here. But the advantage of it is because what we're doing is we're using this relay right in there, that connector, and this is basically forcing every item has to go through. So any item that comes to the drill has to go through there. Okay. Now the thing we want to make sure of is that we don't have any other connections to this network, because otherwise it'll end up in a loop. So if this output here ever gets relinked to this line, we're going to be in trouble. So don't do it. All right, just don't do it. This is a great way, by the way, of automatically pulling items out of things. The reason I did it here is because things can get a little creative with this setup, all right? Honestly, what can happen with this is that you end up babysitting this for quite some time, and I wish I'd built this in. So what you can now do is you can say, okay, well, we can put another cargo pod or 3 on there. We can come down underneath, maybe. We could put an output lane from here. We have to slip underneath this bit. No, we don't. We can just go down and then over. Like that. And run this across the length of the ship. I sincerely need to turn down my DPI settings. I really do. It's an interesting movement effect I'm having right now. Alright, so this can just run straight across under here. No big deal, no problem. Excuse me. Alright, there we go. And we can work on some processing. Maybe on this side. Right? Now that we're clear, we can say, let's do another armor block over here. Excuse me, game, stop lagging on me. And we can do that and that. Let's say we get ourselves some refineries. Of course, the question of the day becomes, okay, so it's over there. So we then want this thing with that. And that means we only need to have one connection. Right? Those are connected. You can do that little bit of iron is now being processed in our refineries. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So that's the basics of this so far. And, you know, we can pretty it up a little bit. You know, we can throw some flooring on there to make it look a little nicer. You know, the typical stuff in Space Engineers. There we go. Now, of course, this thing isn't completely finished yet. We still have other stuff we need to add. Maybe you want to add some assemblers to it. And I haven't shown you guys how to move this thing, land this thing, and start actual mining operations with it, which is a whole nother bit of worms. Now, the thing to watch out for is that this thing likes to rattle and roll, but we'll take a look at that in the next episode. So guys, thank you for watching. This has been Mr. Kassarian, and as always, happy mining.